My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to Transport Fever 2 and the continuation of the little series on a nice small little map. Today we're starting on one of our fuel delivery trucks as we head into Long Eaton, heading for the street of Kingsway. That's where we drop off the fuel for the consumption, and we can see the drop off just here. Just have to wait for this bad boy to get out of the way before we can make our delivery. So what's the plan for today? Well, between episodes I have upgraded the trains that bring in the logs to the sawmill just to the south and the east of Long Eaton. So they are now double headed, and the consists have also been doubled as well. I haven't spent any time checking for the balance rates on those trains, so it may be that we have too many consists and we're actually waiting around at the station for a full load on those trains. But we can always tweak those a little bit later on. But for now they're fine and they're making us money, which is the main thing. As long as they're profitable, I'm pretty happy with the state of affairs. Just wait for the traffic now as we take this corner at this T-junction before heading back out towards the pickup point for the fuel, which is just outside of the tool factory outside of Long Eaton. Now I just want to take a little moment here and do a little shout out, if I may actually. Now many of you who watch my videos and this series and the other Transport Fever 2 series, you may also watch another YouTuber, one who I absolutely love to watch, and that is Grand T. And I noticed that it seems he's a viewer here as well, which is absolutely amazing, really. I mean, he's brilliant at Transport Fever 2, and if you haven't seen any of his videos, then I do strongly suggest you go and check them out, because fantastic guy. He's got a brilliant style. I think he's often been called the Bob Ross of Transport Fever 2, and that's not something I'd actually disagree with. It's a very good YouTuber, great player, and yeah, big shout out to him, and strongly encourage any of you who haven't checked him out to go ahead and do so. He is absolutely fantastic and you won't be disappointed. Enough about that, enough of that shameless plug there for fellow YouTuber. Let's get started, shall we? Let's hop off this vehicle now and let's have a look at the lay of the land and see where we are. So yeah, 21 million, which is quite healthy. Profits, yeah, they oscillate between 6 million and 1 million. It obviously depends on the arrival of the trains and what have you, but yeah, we're pretty healthy. We're in 1919, so we're ticking along. I still have the date progressing at half speed, just for that more relaxed sort of playthrough. We're not rushing through the eras. Likewise, not actually rushing through the expansion either, and that's an artifact of the increased costs that we have to incur from the initial setup video. So it does encourage a bit of a slower play and a bit more methodical at times as well. So let's take a look then. So here's our trains that are now double headed, as we can see, with a mighty long consist, and if they're forcing the other train to wait for a load, then I dare say, well, I will say we do have too many wagons on these trains. But look at that, they're making us just shy of 1.75 million, 1.75 million. That'd have been easier to say, wouldn't it? So they're doing very well for us, but we just need to make sure that they are not waiting around an excessively long time and causing a backlog as the other train arrives. So we'll just speed it up just a fraction, just to see what's happening. The other train has made its delivery, it is on the way down, and I think this train, let's have a look at its load status. Yeah, I think we're going to be away before the other train has to pull up and wait. Yeah, that's fine. So those balance is pretty good. It's not needing any intervention at this time. So for today then, what's the plan? I wouldn't mind getting these bricks from up here, very north corner of the map, and bringing them down into Long Eaton. We do have a demand for bricks, although it's not too many. They only need 42 per year, so we really don't want to be overloading that and having a train that's delivering 300 a year, because it's going to spend an awful lot of time up here just waiting to be loaded. So if we go up to this station, then we are going to need to expand it. We have 2 platforms already. One receives the incoming stone, as you just see right here, and we have the other one that goes into Axminster to deliver the bricks. Now, we don't want to be causing other trains to be waiting around unnecessarily, so to avoid that, we will go ahead and activate this outside platform here, and this is where the train to Long Eaton is going to pull up and take its deliveries. Or receive its load. It's not delivering here, is it? It's picking up. Right. So let's get this connected into the network, and I'm just thinking here, do we want to give them a little place to stable up? Because if we have two trains, we don't want to block the incoming Axminster train from receiving a load. So what we'll do is we'll take the line out parallel for a while. That way we can have somewhere for these trains to come in and wait. Although we are going to have to double track it, of course. So what we're going to do then, let's do something like this. This is going to be a little bit odd, but it should work okay for us. And if we bring this in, and we're going to have to remove this signal because we're going to do something a little different here. What we're going to do, we can't get this to snap in before this junction, that'd be far too tight. So we're going to have to give it its own junction for the outbound line. So if we do that, and then cross over like that, this is for the return leg, so this is heading down to Long Eaton, so that's fine. That signal that we had to remove, we are going to have to just drop it in just here, and this signal is purely for the Axminster trains. It's not going to control or marshal trains into this platform. What we're going to do to achieve that instead is something like this. Now if we can get a nice looking junction here, that would be fantastic. It's a little bit messy, but it's going to work. And then if we have this stretched out here, and we'll have it come in just prior to this signal that we have right here. So we may have to just remove that signal as well. And then bring this track in there. Go ahead and replace this signal here. So now this is the only way our trains can get into this platform. And to make sure they are stabled up correctly, we'll put another signal there, and we'll actually tell the Long Eaton trains to hit this signal as a waypoint. So they're going to come and wait here. So if we do have multiple trains, we're not going to have more than two, I daren't say. So we could have one waiting here and one waiting here. And the one that is waiting here, it's not going to get held up as it tries to leave because it's a separate track. So I think that should work okay for us. I don't see why it wouldn't, unless I'm missing something obvious, but we shall see. So now the trains they can share this run-off track, that's not a problem. And where does our Axminster train drop off? So it drops off on platform number 2. So the through trains can go through here without being held up, which is good. And then what we'll also do is for the return, we'll put another junction prior to the station here. And this track here, for now, will be bi-directional. So they'll come through down this way and then head back to pick up another load heading up that way. And that way, they're not going to get held up by the train here that may be delivering. So there we go. Now, if you remember, we only left this track short. So we need to finish construction on this track here, which is not a problem. It should be a little bit cheaper because we are running parallel. And regardless, we do have, what, 20 plus million available to build this track. And if we go as far as here, and we need to take a moment and decide how we want to get this train to run into the city of Long Eaton. So we have a station down here already which we can utilize, and we do have all this track down here which we could utilize if we wanted to. However, my current thought process is we'll have it follow down here. We won't bend back into the sidings, obviously, because that's not going to do anything for us, but rather we'll have it branch off maybe somewhere. In fact, now, is that a tunnel? Yes, it is. So we don't want to branch off in the tunnel. While you can do it, it just looks weird on a cab ride. So instead, after the tunnel, we'll have the double track line that leaves here, comes down. Perhaps we'll have it connect into here. We only have two. Is it only two? Yeah, I think it's just two trains. Three at the most. Yeah, 3 trains, sorry. We only have 3 trains running down here, so we're not going to massively overload it. And we'll have it connect into this little line. And it's literally just going to come in and then kick straight back out. We're going to have it run down here. run past the food production plant. At some point we will have a station here, so having this track run down here gives us an advantage. We're ready to put the station down. Obviously it will be on the sidings, but that's no problem. And then it's just going to come down and connect into here, and then it can come in, drop off, and head straight back. So let's head back to where we just were. So where's our track? Let's pick that up where we left it off. And as I said, we'll go through the tunnel like so. But at this point, we do want this to separate and head out on its own little merry journey down towards the train line that handles the crude oil. So if we run it something like that, and then we want to double track it with a connection, or maybe if we do it the other way. We've just unlocked the Junkers the Junkers F13. We don't need that. We've not got any airports running at the moment, and given that this is a small map, we might never have any airports running on this map, although we could probably have one from Long Eaton all the way up to Epping. But Long Eaton to Herne Bay, for example, it's just not, it'd be a bit silly having that. Anyway, let's let's carry on. Get my words all muddled up today. And let's continue down as we just discussed, and we want to kiss into this track before departing and heading down this way. Now this might cause a bit of slowdown here. Let's just try and keep that not necessarily flat, but we don't really want a huge upstep in our gradient. Okay, and what we're gonna do is connect in. Okay, so the slope is a little rough if we did that. How is that? It doesn't look too bad, but what does the crossover look like? Well, it's not crossing over, is it? It's actually snapping in parallel, but I think we will need to raise it up just a little so that the return track is also nice and straight. I think that should be enough. And let's see here, will this do what we want it to do? If I grab the node this time, that will be infinitely more helpful. And how does it look? That looks pretty good. So yeah, we have some slowdown on this corner. I mean, if we want to, a little bit later on, we can rework that to maintain the speeds, but for now it's going to be fine. If we can stretch this out to 50, I'll be happy, which we can. And we'll have it climb up just a fraction, but we don't want to do it too much because it's going to cause a weird overlap. In fact, let's not do that at all. Let's have it stay perfectly straight, just so we guarantee ourselves a nice looking junction here. So let's pick up the opposite side of the tracks, snap in parallel. How does it look? It looks perfect. So at this point now we're going to come down here and we will allow the train, or the line gradient, to start to increase. But what we're going to do is take a nice long distance, so any gradient change, it's spread out over a nice length, so it isn't quite as punishing for our trains. Okay, so that's going to provide us a tunnel. Is that going to cause us any problems in the future? I don't think so, so we can take a tunnel if we want to. And in fact, we want to be coming this way, in fact even further this way. In fact, we're going to tunnel under the road, which is fine. Is that too long of a tunnel? I mean, it's a very long tunnel, but it keeps our gradient, you know, rather manageable. Yeah, let's go for a nice long tunnel. Why the heck not? As long as we've emerged onto the ground prior to this industry, because as I said, at some point we're going to have a station down here, and it just means we can tap off these tracks and connect into that industry with a future station, but that's all for a later date. So yep, that's all good. I'm going to bring it all back down, and now we want to connect into here. Now let's take it as far as this point here, because we need to check the logistics at this station and see how we're going to handle the incoming load. So at the moment, what do we have coming into here? We have two already. We have the fuel delivery and we have the planks which are being processed into tools. So what I'm going to do now is first of all extend the length of these platforms, and we'll use the default cargo platforms for this. And if we see here, they have changed texture, and that is because we are progressing into the new eras, and the platform textures do change over time. So we've got now a cracked concrete effect, whereas before we had this cobble effect. That's just aesthetic, so it doesn't really do anything. Back to there, I don't know why I closed that. And now we want to increase the track length on both of these existing platforms, like so. That's fine. And now we want to put in a platform, well, we want to activate the far side platform, because this is where we're going to bring in the bricks. Now at this point again, we need to consider if we want to stable the trains, just so we're not going to interfere with anything else that may be wanting to head into Long Eaton. Now the handy thing is, nothing is getting loaded here at this point. Eventually it will be. We'll be loading tools at some point, but for now we are not. So that's not too bad, because obviously loading a train takes a little bit longer than unloading a train, so you have potential for more delays there. However, what we want to make sure we don't do is keep this train from getting onto the platform with our other trains. So if we had a train waiting here, perhaps our bricks train was waiting right here, and this train can't get in to drop off the planks for the tools. Now at this point that wouldn't really matter, because we have nothing being loaded, so we're not going to get stuck in that, you know, feedback loop, but we just want to make sure we're avoiding it in the future. So to that end, I will have this stay quite separated for a little while before merging in, and if we merge in after the point where the planks train comes in, then we're going to be okay. So what we're going to do now is join in like this, get as high a speed as we possibly can, and that's your lot. The slowest speed we have is 61, and that's at this point here, so we're pretty fast pass over there, which is fine. And then we'll double track this. So this station is now starting to become something of a busy station with all the track activity that we had, or that we have, which is fine. And in fact what I'm going to do is, rather than merge this in and have it go into a single track, we're going to expand this station even further with a fourth set of tracks and another set of platforms. Now we're not going to be using these platforms at this point in time, but when we do need to use them, we know that they're ready for us, and we can drop our trains straight in. Okay, so now this track will just connect into the platform like so, and we will need ourselves a crossover, and we're going to take it back just a little and bring our crossover in like that. We're not going to have a diamond, we don't need a diamond. This way our trains have to use this inner platform, the one that we activated first. Okay, now we need to check our signal and make sure we're not going to have any problems with the trains blocking in any junctions. So we want that there. Now if we have one here, is it liable to block anything? If we have a super long train, it could block this. So to alleviate that, because that will bite us in the bottom later down the line if we're not careful, we'll just leave this without a signal. So the only signal for that little junction there for this train will be this signal here, which also serves this junction. But that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Will this one cause any problems here? It potentially could. So again, we're going to have to remove that signal. So we're not going to have any signal control at all between this junction and this junction for these tracks here. There we go. That signal, again, if we have a long train, it could cause an overhang here. So let's just push these two signals down the track just a little to say there. Now this signal here could cause an overhang, but given that this is just an access line and we don't have any active lines running down here, that isn't a problem right now. And we're going to have to, oh, this is going to be very sharp to come in. In fact, let's just remove those signals like that, and let's connect this in before we put those signals down. Otherwise we're going to box ourselves in, and we really don't want to be doing that unnecessarily. Okay, can we get a nice connection here? In fact, if we come off the outer track, we can see exactly what it's going to look like when it's crossing over. Yeah, that's pretty good. A bit slow. 38 is the lowest speed we hit here, but that should be okay because it's quite a long track, and the majority of the track heading up there is, of course, 75 miles per hour. So let's put a signal there and there to protect the junction. If we put one here, I think we're far enough away that it shouldn't cause any problems, but if we increase our train lengths in the future, we will have to monitor that. And then let's go ahead and put a short signal right here, just to clear the junction for anything else that's waiting. Now we'll go ahead and just put some blocking signals down all the way up to Epping Stoneworks. And we don't need too many. And again, like I mentioned in the previous episode, I believe it was, I don't want to go for too many signals in the early day because at some point we will want to upgrade them, and the fewer signals we have, the faster that process is going to be. Let's remove that signal there because we've pushed that one closer, and this one here we want to push it further down as well. And again, that's just avoiding the chance of any train blocking in the junction with its wagons. So that should be okay. Let's have another signal here and here to protect the incoming traffic on this junction. We'll have a clearing signal just before this catenary mast there, and we'll have another one on that track just there, and then we can go ahead and just chuck down our blocking signals all the way now up to the brickworks. So we'll have a block there. So this is where we merge in. So let's go ahead and have, in fact, we'll leave it for now because again, no active lines running down here. It's just for access. So we'll have nothing prior to the tunnel, but we will have something just after the tunnel from our perspective. We'll have a set just prior to the bridge. We'll have a set just after the bridge. And then we'll have one there, and that's protecting that. And then our trains go through this way. So we probably want to put down a two-way signal here, like that, just to make sure our trains do come this way, which they should. We will now need a diamond here because we want to make sure our train gets back onto the correct side of the tracks. So let's upgrade this junction to a diamond, like so. And then from here on out, I think we should be okay. Although I am going to go ahead and put down maybe one or two extra blocks in here because we have multiple lines running down here now. Now they should be one way. It doesn't make much difference because the other signals on this stretch of track are already one way, so they can't get too confused. And we'll go ahead and put down one extra block just here. And then let's see, do we need anything? Oh no, we've done all the signals over here, so that's all good. Okay, so now, before we set the train line up, we need to make sure we have the trucks ready to go. So where are you requiring the bricks? Where are you? Okay, so you're all nestled here, which is fine because it means we can just utilize this station here, or this drop-off that we have on King's Way. So we don't need to put down another unload point, but what we do need to do is set up a line, and we'll use this one here. And if we just rename that now from Long Eaton Tool Forge to the Long Eaton Freight Exchange, it just then suggests that all of this here is all part of one complex. Okay, the new line, you're coming from the Freight Exchange. You're going to be red because you're handling bricks. We'll have you do a load if available, and we'll have you pick up bricks, and then you're coming into Kingsway. Now let's just make sure they follow the same route as our fuel delivery trucks, like that, and you're taking the same route out, so that's all good. And then you're coming back down here, and everybody will be happy. Quick name change, so this will be the Bricks Delivery Long Eaton. There we go. Now bear in mind we only need, was it 24, 42, something like that, bricks into Long Eaton at this time, so we don't need to overdo it with our vehicles. we can use these ones again, so let's go ahead and do that. And let's say we'll have no more than 4 for the time being. That's 500,000, which is fine. Colour them red. Assign them to the line. So now they're going to be sat there doing a whole lot of nothing. Well, they won't be because they're not going to sit around, but they'll come in, see there's nothing, and then bugger off and do their run. Empty. But it does mean now there is a demand for bricks down here, so we can now do the train line. So let's go ahead and do that. So we want to come from here. And you're already on platform 3. We want you to be fully loaded. And you're taking bricks. And then you're coming from the brickworks. As you come down here, we want to make sure you're coming this way through. Let's colour that red. So yeah, you'll come down here. And you should automatically come down this way, but just to ensure that you do, let us do that. And then you come in here into that station, but we want you on platform number 3. Now, we do want to put a couple of signals in here, actually. I did forget to do those, but we'll do that in a few moments. So you're heading back now. Are you taking the correct platform that I intended on the way back through? No, you're not, because we can't see the line crossing over on this junction here. So after the freight exchange, where is the signal? There it is. That's better. Now you're passing straight on through, and then you've got to return to the other track anyway, so that's all good. And then you're back in here, and yeah, as we can see, he will come down here and get stabled up, and everybody's happy. Perhaps we'll go for a slightly different shade of red, just so we can differentiate the two lines a little bit easier. So we'll have that shade for this line. Let's name this one, so RC, that is rail cargo, of course. And this is bricks to Long Eaton. We don't really need to say where they are coming from, because we only have one brick production plant on the entire map, and we don't have new industry spawning in, so we don't have to be confused there, or there's no chance of us getting confused there. We just need to know where they're heading to, and of course they're heading to Long Eaton. Okay, let's go back to our train yard, and let's see what we want to do here. Well, let's go for the A35, and let's also go for that colour scheme as well. So there we go. Cargo wagons, flat car with side stakes using the darker shade of red. And we have 18 million, so I think we'll be able to get the full 12. So that's 4. There's your 8. And there we go, that is 12. So we can only afford 1 right now, but that's okay. Now, obviously, this is 96 capacity. So, in fact, let me think about this for a second. I think that's going to be... Oh, no. In fact, yeah, we'll just do it. I can't remember. It's been a while since I've done something along this line. I can't remember if this will ever produce more than 42 or whatever it requires, or if we can get a full load. It just means that we don't need this train to make more than 1 delivery per year, if you follow me, because we don't need as many as 96 down here. We need 48. Let's see. So we are shipping. I think that will cap out, so that train might be waiting forever. In that case then, let's reduce the train length. Let's save ourselves some money. And we'll get this down. We'll go for a little extra, because otherwise every time this calls from... In fact, no, I think we'll leave it. I think we're going to be okay. I'm just getting mightily confused, and I'm starting to doubt myself. Let's just go with my gut, and we'll let it do its thing, and we'll just see how it does. So what we'll do then is pause the date progression. We don't want to miss any unlocks. Go to 4 times acceleration. I'll let the game run just for a few minutes while this decides how it's going to handle this. And we'll pick this back up when we're about to make our first full delivery. And hopefully it will be 96. Obviously we don't need as many as 96, but if we're only making 1 delivery every 2 years, then we're still a little bit over, but we're close enough. What I am going to do is, because we could be delivering too many down here, is chuck down a cargo building so nothing gets wasted. Just the one. There we go. Okay, so while we're waiting for this to hopefully receive a full load, if my gut tells me correct, we can see that this now will prompt this industry to expand, hopefully in the not too distant future, because rather than just producing enough to feed the town of Axbridge, we're now also producing some to take down to Long Eaton. So that's going to hopefully tick over into the 75% threshold. When we start shipping these, that's also going to tick over. So when we start transporting these, that'll also tick over. So the shipment isn't quite there yet. But once we start supplying Long Eaton with the bricks, hopefully the demand for bricks will also increase. And that means this is also going to go up, and then we could get a level 3 industry. That then could have a knock-on effect down here, because we would then, that would increase to, is it 400? I believe it is. And what do we produce? In fact, we're already leveling up. Just look at that, the slimmest of margins, because we need 300 bricks, 300 units of stone. There we go, we've upgraded. So hopefully these trains don't have to wait around as long, because they were having to just recently. And in fact now they're not having to, because he's leaving just as he's leaving. So ideally when he gets down here, this will have a full load waiting for him, or at least when the other train starts to depart, this one here, this one will be fully loaded and departing. In that way they've got perfect balance. As one's leaving one station, hopefully the other will be leaving the other station. Okay, has our train set off already? Has it got a full load already? Where's the train gone? Did I not tell it to wait for a full load? I mustn't have done. Okay then. I thought I told it to do a full load. Maybe I did. Oh, I did, but I only told it to wait for 3 minutes. Well, okay, I'll make your first delivery, that's fine, but next time wait an infinite amount of time, or rather, wait as long as it takes. So yeah, we'll let him make his first delivery, and then get all the way back, and then we'll see if we can produce enough for a full load here. I think it might take probably 2 years of waiting if it works as I think it does. But again, I think I've just got myself massively confused as to the basic game mechanics. The justification, what I'm telling myself, the excuse I'm going with is I've been playing a lot of Railway Empire and things work slightly differently. So I'm in Railway Empire mode and I'm having to switch back into Transport Fever 2 mode. And well, that's my excuse. I'm sticking with it. That's my defense, Your Honor. Anyway, let's see what happens. Just as a bit of curiosity, that made 2.168 million, and that was less than a half load. So even with just a handful of bricks on there, this line should be quite profitable. So yeah, that's a positive sign. But once again, let's wait to see if it will pick up a full load, or if rather this will produce enough to deliver a full load. Or will it stop at the cap, which, oh well, no, because it's only shipping 42. And we already have 44, so I think I'm right. I think I've figured it out correctly, which is always a good thing. So yeah, we'll wait for a train to come back, and we'll see how long it takes it to pick up, or for this to produce enough for a full load for that train. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, our train is on its way back, as we can see. We are just on approach. We have passed the city of Axbridge. About to head into that tunnel, which, if you remember from the cab ride a few episodes ago, was a little bit weird. It's now nice and tidy, and as we can see, we're getting a nice stockpile of bricks here, so I don't think this train is going to have to wait around too long at all. Now what I'm doing at the same time is I've got the Epping Brickworks screen pinned, because I want to make sure we don't start running dry on our supply of stone. Now we do have a train on the way, and we still have over 50 units of stone available, so I think for the time being we're going to be okay. If we head over here, we can see the increased production here has had a big effect. We now have almost 200 units waiting to be collected just as our train starts to arrive. So we're going to hit the point where we have wasted materials here, but I can live with that, not a problem. And yeah, we're producing nice amounts of bricks for both of our lines. Here's the one that heads to Axminster, and a little bit further back, just about to emerge from the tunnel, as we can see. And look at that, the tunnel on this side has also decided to do something extremely silly. So what we're going to do is just get rid of all that, because I'm satisfied with the line set up for now. and just quickly pause it and get this sorted out, because yeah, I'm not having that. That's just ugly. Let's take it back a little bit, and hopefully this time we get a tunnel that doesn't look quite so horrific. So let's see. Are we happy with that? Yeah, we are. That's better. Don't know why it does that sometimes, but hey. And look at that, we've reduced the length of the tunnel, which, well, it is what it is. I'm not too fussed by that. Let's just smooth off the angular edge that we had there, thanks to that new modification to the tunnel. And let's just smooth some of this out, and especially over the other side where we have quite a raised stretch of track in the middle of nowhere. I'm just going to blend out the track sides just a little bit so it doesn't look quite so bizarre, just like this. There we go, and that looks better. That cost us well over $1 million, but that's okay. Yeah, this bit here, this just looks silly. So now that we've got money to spare, we may as well spend some just improving the beautification aspect of this map. I'm also going to remove some of those trees there that are, you know, quite close up against this train line, because you don't want trees next to your train line, especially with steam trains, because all the ash and sparks and, you know, bits from the fire from the funnel could cause a bit of a wildfire, and we certainly don't want that. So spending a small fortune here on this, it's absolutely unnecessary, not needed at all, but it just makes it look a little bit nicer. Right, so let's go to the asset remover, to the rubber. Just get rid of some of those trees. That's probably a little bit too big actually. Let's tone it down a little. And again, around that tunnel entrance we'll do the same. Around here we'll do the same as well. And what the heck, let's do a little bit more smoothing, shall we, on this bit here, and just along this track that we laid down in this episode. Just blend in some of these sharp edges just to make it look a little bit nicer, like this. And again, once we've done this, we'll get that eraser tool and we'll just run it along the length of the track here, and any of the trees that are a little bit too close, we shall remove them. Down here we're pretty smooth already, so don't need to worry about that. I've been doing a lot of this off camera, but doing a little bit on camera for you today, no idea why. Anyway, eraser tool, is that going to be enough to take the trees away? Yeah, it is. Look, see, if we just run it along the track, any trees that are arguably a little bit too close to the rail, they get removed. That's better. We have to do this little bit here as well. No, that's a road, you idiot. Not that it matters, but what the heck. And down here, and in this little bit here, just like that. Around this tunnel entrance, like so, and this, oh, I've already done that one. There we go, that's better. So, here's our train. So it does have to wait for a full load. It's waiting around a little bit. Hopefully it's not going to wait too long. We have plenty of stone in reserve. So yeah, it's just a slow production because, let's be honest, the town of Long Eaton doesn't need that many, although it has increased by 5. So we're having a positive impact, but yeah, it's not growing massively. So I think then what we'll do instead is, rather than having this wait unnecessarily, let's revert back to the 3-minute wait time. If you remember, when our train was on its way back, when we had all the information screens open, I think we had about 70 units of bricks here. So if we just set a 3-minute wait time, we're going to pick up a few extra, but we're going to be taking in more than enough bricks back with us, or 250, whatever, it's fine, to make this a viable train line. Let's have a look at the finances. Okay, so you need to make a, yeah, this actually, although now we're going to make a full, let's send it, or whatever, just do it, just go, get out my sight. Okay, so yes, given that I am extremely befuddled today, clearly, I think we're going to leave this one here before I make myself look more of a fool than I probably already have in this episode, trying to get my head around the mechanics after taking, well, I won't say a break from Transport Fever 2, after dipping my toes in the waters that are Railway Empire. So what we'll do is we'll hop aboard this train and we'll use this train as our cab ride for today. We'll go on for a couple of minutes. We probably won't go all the way to Long Eaton. In fact, what we want to do is not do that, is pause the date, because guess what? We're getting some unlocks here. So let's pause the date. We're not going to look at these today. Well, we don't need that one anyway because we have no passenger lines at the moment. We'll take a look at these in the next episode. Now, I do like the crocodile, but it's very expensive. So, yeah, let's now hop on board. We've paused the date, so we're not going to unlock anything else or progress any further through the years. And we'll have a nice little ride on our way to Long Eaton. As I said, it may not be the entire way just because of the length of the journey, but we'll see. So yes, apologies for the rather befuddled nature of this episode. Literally, I'm all over the place today, but there you go. We're only human, aren't we? So thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, regardless of my own stupidity today. I'm sure it was quite a frustrating one for many of you, and I do apologise for that. What I need to do is actually maybe do a little off-camera game. So before I sit down to record the next episode, after playing another game for a while, I can get back into the swing of Transport Fever 2. And yeah, get out of Railway Empire mode and into Transport Fever 2 mode and vice versa, and just avoid any future silliness that we had today. So I do apologise if it was a frustrating one. It was frustrating for me to record it and just get my head back around the game. It's just one of those days, I think, today. So yes, there you go. But I hope you enjoyed it regardless. If you did, obviously there's the like button down below, which really does help, and it's always greatly appreciated. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then I would encourage you to do so. Obviously, of course I would, why wouldn't I? That's also greatly appreciated, and it does mean you get kept up to date with future releases and whatnot. So all that means for me to say, finally, thankfully, is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.